So students, this is week number 4 and lecture number 2, and we are discussing in this course of guidance and counseling the purposes and the scope of the counseling. Let us understand what we are going to discuss in this particular lecture. First of all, we will introduce our topic, then we will try to understand the purposes of the counseling, and we will discuss also the scope of the counseling, and there are specific areas of the counseling. We will elaborate on that also, and then finally we will complete our lecture. Let us start with the discussion. Let me tell you what exactly the counseling is, as we have already understood in previous lecture. So in order to recall your memory, counseling is a process by which concerted attention is given by the counselor to problems and concerns of the student in a setting of privacy, warmth, mutual acceptance, and confidentiality. These are basically related to the environment which we create for the counseling process. Individual problems are there, and these problems have to be resolved in a process where we are creating an environment which is conducive for the students to express their ideas and the views, and resolving and getting the assistance from the expert person, that is the counselor. So it is a process. It utilizes appropriate tools and procedures which contribute to the fulfillness of the experiences. Counseling is performed for some specific purposes. So in the process of the counseling, the counselor uses appropriate or standardized tools in order to get the true appraisal of the individual personality, and on the basis of these experiences, students are able to resolve their problems or assisted to resolve their problem. Definitely the counseling has to perform certain specific purposes. What are these purposes? We will discuss in later stages of our discussion. The number one purpose is the central purpose, we can call it, of the counseling function is in school is to generally viewed as assisting pupils in understanding themselves, in making choices that are individually satisfying and socially effective, and trying them out in real life situation, understanding themselves. It is an assistant where we are assisting the individual to understand their abilities, capabilities, strength and potentials. Why we are doing so, or why the counselor is doing, the purpose is basically to assist them in making their choices, which ultimately become self-satisfying for the individual, and students are able to contribute for the society, and they also reflected in a positive manner in the society by large. Rogers in 1962 believes that basic purpose of the counseling is a more broad-based structure of the self. Broad-based structure. Each and every aspect of the individual personality must be known to the students. An inclusion of greater proportion of experiences, as much experiences the counselor can provide to the student, the counselor will be able to make better decisions and more comfortable and realistic adjustment to the life. And these are basically the key on the basis of which students are in a position to take appropriate decisions, and which leads to their better adjustment in life, in resolving the problems of every kind or every nature. Humphreys, Trexler and North elaborated following 4 purposes of the counseling. Knowledge of one's capacities means having the knowledge of the self, or to understand the world as it relates to his capacities, means analyzing the abilities and the capabilities to suit with the requirement of the occupational information or the world in a larger perspective. Knowledge about the world of work gives opportunity for the individual to analyze the opportunities in consonance with their abilities and capabilities. Opportunities are available in the world, but all the opportunities are not suited for all the individual. One has to analyze his or her own potential and evaluate them to fit in the characteristic features of any particular occupation. That is the purpose of the counseling. And the third purpose is to develop skills in coping with life concerns with the help of gained knowledge. There are many concerns in the individual, many problems and many issues which become hurdle in the path of achieving the objectives in the field of education and better working opportunities in the job environment. So, coping with life concern, the person develops with the counseling the ability to make decisions, ability to change their behavior, and ability to cope up with all kinds of the problem, because counseling believes that we can use problem solving skill from one situation to the another situation. And the fourth purpose, as expressed, is to move towards greater self-realization through wise decision making and planning for achieving the goals of the life. Every individual is trying to achieve the goal of his or her life, and in making or achieving those goals, counseling is basically as assistant where individual develop a better self-realization, and on the basis of that he or she is in a position to make wise decisions and plan accordingly to get success in his work environment. Arubakil 1965 elaborated four purposes of the counseling, and he said the objectives of the counseling should be based on the premise that man is capable, self-determining creature. Means every individual is capable to take his or her own decisions. That is the fundamental aspect. And objectives are based on counseling, self-acceptance, and self-understanding. If one is capable to take his or her own decisions, then we consider that he should accept himself. Self-acceptance must be developed and self-understanding must be developed in order to demonstrate self-determination and honesty towards oneself. And objectives are based on counselor's needs, not the counselor's needs. Honesty towards oneself. Okay, what are my actual characteristic features? Realistically, I have to find out that characteristic features, and we need to concentrate on the problems of the counselee rather than counselor's needs. Another purposes are to give the student information on matters important to success in personal, educational, occupational areas. A number of problems are elaborated which may be associated to the personal, educational and occupational areas, and we in counseling process we provide important information related to that. To get information about the student which will be of help in solving these problems by applying reliable psychological tools. Psychological tools are used by the counselor to get appropriate appraisal of the individual personality, and on the basis of these psychological tests, who are supposed to be the standardized test, and they provide actual or the real appraisal of the student's characteristic features. And another purpose is to help the student work out a plan for solving his difficulties. And students, if we consider students are able to solve their own difficulties, definitely we are basically assisting them in making that task or solving his or her own difficulties, to establishing feeling of mutual understanding between student and the teacher. Counseling basically assists both to the students and to the teachers, because a strong relationship exists between the teacher and the student. If the teacher is able to know about the characteristic features, about the strength, about the weaknesses of the student, he or she can plan better teaching learning strategies or transactional approaches to deal with the individual needs of the students. Another purpose is to help the student know himself better, means interests, abilities, aptitudes and opportunities. I have discussed it at several times, and this is the important aspect in providing guidance as well as counseling, to encourage and develop special abilities and right attitudes with the cooperation of teachers, parents and school administrator. Encourage and develop special abilities and right attitudes. Special abilities are present in the students. We need to create an environment of nurturing those special abilities. It is also the function or the purpose of the counseling, to inspire successful endeavor towards attainment of the goals in the light of capabilities. And ultimate purpose of the counseling is basically to attainment of the goals in a successful manner, in a satisfactory manner, in a well adjusted manner. Another purpose is to assist the student in planning for educational and vocational choices. Students face difficulty in making their educational and vocational choices because they are associated with many problems or engulfed in many number of problems which ultimately impact on their decision making abilities, and counseling is basically assistant in resolving this issue and providing the opportunity to make better choices. The basic purpose of the counseling is achieve self-actualization, highest limit of achievement, self-actualization. It should also help the student to form habits of informed and thoughtful decisions. Informed and thoughtful decision, every student should develop this habit or this ability, and it should not be confined to any particular area. In whatever situation students are placed, they are using this trick or using this problem solving method. It is also to help the student know, to assist the student in planning for educational and vocational choices. And basic purpose is self-actualization. Students experience a variety of problems during their school years. The counselor thus encounters a great range of problems. He or she has to analyze all the problems of the students and analyze them and provide counseling to the students. These problems may range in their levels of difficulties. Some may be of very simple nature, and little help rendered by the teacher and the counselor is enough for its solution. Some problems are of simple nature which can be resolved by simple effort of the teachers and the counselor, but many problems are of complicated nature and require the help of the professional counselors. Therefore, the scope of the counseling is not confined to any one area. It has its wider ramifications and includes following areas. Let us analyze the scope of counseling. Now we are going to discuss the scope of the counseling. Scope of the counseling is not confined to one area. It is related to the educational problems, social problems, personal problems, family related problems, emotional problems, selection of vocation, health related problems, and life stages and transition related problems. Educational problem. I am elaborating many of the problems faced by the students in any educational institution. A poor academic achievement, indiscipline, wide curricular choices, adjustment with peer group, teachers, teaching methods, and the environment of the school and educational planning are the typical problem areas. And many students face difficulty in these areas. These are the problems where counseling is needed. Educational problems encountered by the students, if persist for longer period, may seriously distort the personality of the individual. So counseling has a positive role to play to help solve all educational problems. All educational problems can be categorized into two broader areas: simple problems and the complicated problem. Simple problem can be resolved through simple guidance, and complicated problems can be handled by the counselings. Social problems are also associated with the individual. They are related to the inability of the student to adjust to the various social situations, may it be related to school or outside the school. Many students face difficulty in interacting with the people, and this is a common problem faced by many students in our educational institution. So adjusting to and getting along with other is an ever challenging task. Students, especially the adolescents, need help in developing social skills and improve their behavior. So it is very important that we need to understand what are the root causes of the social problem. Who are most complicated type of students? Like I told you that adolescents face their own difficulties and the problems of developmental period, and they become alienated from the society and live in isolation, which further complicate their problem, and they experience high level of the stress, anxiety and frustration in their temperament. Their concept, they demonstrate low level of self concept, low level of motivation, and a sense of disturbedness in the environment. That is a problem related to the social life. Personal problems are also very complicated. Personality related problems come under this category. Adolescents are beset with number of problems which hinder their satisfactory adjustment to the social situations. Their status is not defined. It is in a state of heightened emotionality, and they find it difficult to adjust to the changing demands and changing situations, because it is a transition period from childhood to the adulthood. Their problems are unique and personal in nature also. Our Indian society is less sensitive to the adolescents' need and their problems. In absence of that, counseling is the only criteria or the only assistance which can do miracle in the life of the adolescents. So in order to make proper adjustment, they should be given personal attention by the specialized counselors. Family related problems are also there. Relationship in the family may lack harmony and thus a source of concern to children. A strained relationship between the parents, broken home, low socio-economic status of the family leaves negative impact on the students' behavior, and their behaviors becomes maladjusted. They are engulfed with a number of problems, and they never discuss these kinds of the problem because these problems are related to their family. Environment of the family is not conducive. It is stressful, anxiety ridden, and it causing a lot of impact on the mental health of the students. So economic problems may also disturb the mental health, because poverty is the mother of all problems, and we need to take serious measures in assisting the student through counseling. So counseling assistance may prove to be very helpful for such kinds of the student. Emotional problems are also there, associated with the mental health of the student. Emotions influence learning to a great extent. Everybody knows about it. They may either facilitate or interfere with the learning. If the person is mentally healthy, definitely it will leave a positive impression on the learning, if the person is showing poor mental health, he or she is bound to face the trouble in their academic achievement. Other aspects of the life and the behavior are also influenced by emotional health of the students. So it is not only related to the individual life, rather it has its consequences and the ramification in other areas also. Selection of vocation, I told several times when I was discussing about the guidance, it is extremely difficult for the students to select appropriate occupation, especially when choices are countless. They are not supposed to be mature enough to take such difficult decisions which have its impact on their whole life. Choices need to be made in the light of reliable and accurate occupational information as well as in needs, interests and abilities of the students. For this task, counseling services are highly essential. Health related problems are quite common. Health is a wealth. It is said that healthy mind lives in a healthy body are popular slogans and still have their educational value. Disturbed health gives rise to many personal, emotional and social problems. These problems, if left unattended, become more serious and disturb the total adjustment of the person. So, identification of the health related problem is highly essential and counseling is an assistant in that direction. Life stages and transition counseling. Counseling addresses challenges associated with different life stages such as adolescence, young adulthood and aging. These are also the stages where counseling is seriously needed because they disturb the mental health of the people. It helps individuals navigate transition like retirement, grief and loss. Retirement is also a stage where the adult people need adjustment because they consider themselves a person which is misfit to the society and not capable of performing the task which he used to do. So it lowers their confidence level and many problems are associated to that. Other specific areas of the counseling. In few slides, we will now discuss there are certain other specific areas of the counseling apart from the school life. And these are the individual counseling. Focuses on helping individuals manage personal issues such as stress, anxiety, depression, low self-esteem and transition from adolescent stage to the adult life. This is basically related to the individual counseling. Okay, individuals are experiencing acute level of problems and their problems are impacting their own life, the life of the family and the life of the society. They need individual counseling. So we have to work in the areas of the individual counseling. Another is couples counseling. It is another area of the counseling which is also needed in present day society. So it assists couples in improving communication because sometimes lack of communication creates a number of problems in the life of the couples. Resolving conflicts, how to resolve those conflicts and strengthening their relationship means making a strong relationship. When communication enhances between the two individuals, definitely they are in a position to resolve their issues, discuss their issues and find out the ways to resolve those problems. Family counseling is another emerging area, works with families to address issues. There are so many issues related to the family, affecting family dynamics such as parenting challenges. In this modern world, parents are facing difficulty to upbring their children. Sibling rivalry is quite common among many families and communication problems are quite there. In this particular age where we are governed by the scientific and technological inventions, technological tools are present The smart mobile phones are present with every individual, and family bond where we used to discuss things in and describe historical perspectives, many stories. There is no existence of such things nowadays, and everybody is associated to the outside world by using the mobile phones, leading to a number of family issues which are emerging day by day, and these family issues are reaching to the educational institutions and to the society. We need counseling at this level also. Child and adolescent counseling specialized in helping children and teenagers navigate challenges like behavioral issues, addresses academic stress, social anxiety, and identity development. Many behavioral issues are emerging day by day, and the students are engaged in such kinds of antisocial behaviors which never accepted in previous days. So we need guidance in particularly for the childs and the adolescents. Career counseling is another area. Helps individual with career related decisions, job stress, career transition, and workplace challenges. So career counseling is also important aspect, and it is more useful for the students because they are in search of the career. They are not in a position to take their opinion which career is suited for them. I discussed this aspect in my previous lecture where I told you that occupational information play a very significant role in career counseling. So career counseling must be an area where expert counselors must be utilized in every school conditions. Grief and loss counseling is also another emerging area. It supports individuals coping with the death of a loved ones or significant losses in their lives. We in this entire world where wars are going on, fightings are have become a habit of the people, and on the people are fighting with each other, and many lives are being lost. It creates a very negative impression on the children of that family and the entire family life. And divorce issues are quite open. Job losses are quite significant in our society. In such a situation, we need the counseling services so that we can get out from that emotional trauma and engage in positive activities which may be fruitful and adjusting for the individual in new areas. Substance abuse counseling is another aspect. It focuses on helping individuals overcome addiction to drugs, alcohol, or other substances, and addresses the underlying issues contributing to addiction. Addiction, why the people are addicted to certain things like alcohol, drugs, and other substances. It is because of this reason, because they are basically in removing the stress and anxiety. It is a temporary phase of removing the anxiety and the stress. The ultimate purpose of the counseling is basically to get rid of from all the adults from such kinds of the problem. So in counseling, we basically provide therapy to such kinds of the people to get rid of this problem. Trauma counseling is also assists individuals in processing and recovering from traumatic experiences, including abuse, accidents, and natural disasters. So these are also the areas. Mental health counseling is also there. It provides support for managing mental health disorders such as anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder. These are basically the mental health issues. Think about the mental health. If the mental health of the student is not working, it has its consequences, negative consequences on his or her academic achievement, his mixing with the people, his social aspect and family aspect, and this problem will also reach to the occupational or workplace situation and creates trouble. Counseling is needed in this area. Rehabilitation counseling aids individuals with physical or emotional disabilities in achieving their personal and professional goals. There are many disabled children. In order to rehabilitate them and provide assistance them, because their functioning or their stress and anxiety is so high, okay, without providing the counseling, who are expert in that area, is not going to solve their problem. Health and wellness counseling is another area. It focuses on promoting healthy lifestyle choices, managing chronic illness, and improving overall well-being. Overall well-being is basically the objective of the counseling. So health and wellness counseling has also become very common, and people are associated in that area. Crisis counseling, it is another aspect. It provides immediate support during acute emotional or psychological crisis such as suicidal thoughts, severe panic attacks, and traumatic events. And students who are basically having the high aspiration level, they engulf in such kinds of the thoughts. They if they could not achieve their target or could fail to achieve their goals, they start thinking in a negative direction, and sometimes they give up their life also. In such a situation, counseling is highly essential. Let us conclude our discussion. Counseling promotes overall well-being by addressing physical, psychological, emotional, social, and spiritual aspects of individual life. In a sense, the scope of counseling is very vast, multifaceted, where counselors playing a vital role in helping individuals to solve their challenges and achieve their full potentials, that is the self-actualization. It helps individuals live more productive and fulfilling lives. So with this, we have completed our discussion. Thanks for your patience listening. God bless you.